Hey, this is Jürgen Rasmussen. Welcome to the Provocative Hypnosis blog. In this particular episode, I want to talk a little bit about my new book that I'm currently writing and to invite you as a potential reader to contribute and to help shape the book. So here's what I have in mind. The book I'm writing is about how when we don't see thoughts as thoughts, it looks as if we are identical to those thoughts, meaning it usually looks as if we are the voice in our head, so to speak. It looks as if we are the thinker of these thoughts and that they're deeply personal, that they say something fundamental about us. When we fall for this misunderstanding, then it seems to become very important what we think, that we think positively and that we don't think negatively. And we spend a lot of time trying to control our thinking and to analyze our thinking and to get rid of our thinking and to not think negatively and to think positively. And this creates a lot of unnecessary suffering. This whole process also, not seeing thoughts as thoughts, contributes to a gigantic misunderstanding, and that is the sense that we not only are the thinker of thoughts and that they say something fundamental about us, but that there is this thing like self in here, often located behind the eyes, looking out at a world that isn't me, and that this self is kind of permanent and stable. And so as a result, everything that we think either looks like the self or belongs to the self or is distinctly not self. So when something's distinctly not self, we end up projecting the most, the least looked at, the least acknowledged and accepted aspects of being a human being. We have a tendency to project that onto other people out there with the greatest hook. So those bastards out there. And then we often end up as control freaks. We try to change people out there so that we can feel more peace of mind in here. We also end up projecting onto other people motives, roles, characteristics that reinforce how we want to view ourselves. So, for example, if I have an identity as, the expert, as a brilliant agent of change, then I may project onto you qualities of helplessness and incompetency and vulnerability, because if you then play those out, that reinforces my role as the competent one, as the smart one. The amount of mental acrobatics that it takes to create, bolster, enhance, and protect this psychological illusion leads to a lot of unnecessary suffering. And it leads to us being way more wacky than we otherwise need to be. Now, by helping someone see through this illusion, even if it's just having a little glimpse, can be very, very liberating. Now, if you look at books written about, psychological help, self-help, stuff like that, it usually focuses on the content of our thinking, or on our behavior, or on the structure of our thinking. Very seldom do these books focus on the alleged subject, the alleged thinker, like who's having the experience. Eastern meditative traditions have a great advantage in that they offer a pretty good roadmap for people to see through this illusion, through meditation training, through very targeted mind practices. However, as a long-term meditator myself, most of the people who write about this are long-term meditators. They write about it in a spiritual context, and the books are often read by people who are on a spiritual path. Now, even though I am a long-term meditator, I work with people as an agent of change. I have a background in neurolinguistic programming, in hypnosis. I've deeply explored developmental psychology, various schools of psychotherapy. So I help people make changes in their life. I help them relate to their own experience in a different way. Now, what I do, most of my clients are not meditators. They're not on a spiritual path. They're regular folks who are stuck in various contexts and who wants to change their own internal experience. What I do with them is I do thought experiments with them where they get a glimpse into this illusion in a way that's liberating and in a way that's often contextualized. So the book I'm writing is about how to see through this illusion, how to have glimpses. And it's also about growing up, because we can talk about experiences of oneness all day long, but to function as an adult in the world, you need healthy psychological boundaries as well. So there's going to be a lot of interesting topics that I discuss that I don't claim to have, black and white absolute answers to, but for example, the experience of oneness and selflessness, not versus, but alongside psychological healthy boundaries, for example, in relationships. How does that work? Seeing through the illusion of a doer, of an agent, and responsibility, personal responsibility. How do you coordinate that, for example? Or how do you coordinate the fact that the self conventionally is an illusion, but that the Western concepts of the individual and individual rights leads to the most civilized and best societies for people to live in, both socially and economically? Is this a contradiction? Is it not? So my invitation for you as a potential reader is, if you have any questions, anything that you think seems contradictory or paradoxical, that you don't think is well covered in those types of books that you read on the topic, feel free to make a comment wherever you find this video, and in that case, you may help improve the book. Again, I'm not claiming absolute knowledge or to offer the answers, but I'll offer my particular take and the experiences I've had with clients and the clients who have changed, and often changed quite profoundly when guided in this particular way. So any questions you may have, anything that you kind of long to read about or think is not well covered in books on this type of topic, please do feel free to let me know. And as I said, in that case, as a potential reader, you have an opportunity to contribute to shaping a book as it is being written. As a guy who's written a couple of books, Provocative Hypnosis and Provocative Suggestions, I think that those of us who write books often end up writing the books that we want to read. We look around and we go, why the hell isn't someone writing about that? Or, that isn't being covered well. And in the end, we kind of go, well, someone's got to do it. Might as well be me. So anyways, if the invitation resonates, leave your comments wherever you find this particular video. Thanks.